So, hi everybody, it's Alan Christie from a very cold pub in Dartmouth. Why in the pub, you might ask, other than the obvious? So, we would have been doing this out on site, but Aidan forgot the mics today, so we are using this fella. It's a very interesting thing. I remember Demolition as being a really kind of very quick activity. It used to be that you'd go in with a great big 360, a couple of guys to sort bits and pieces out, and you'd be done in a week, and it would cost you not a whole lot of money. Whereas now we're taking down a hotel. It's almost, as you'll see from the footage, the biggest tool in the armoury now is a grabber, which is effectively a pincher on the end of a 360 machine that moves in and it takes things out almost like one pipe or one block or one section at a time. And so Demolition is painstaking these days. Why is that? Well, the government has introduced a sort of landfill tax a number of years ago. It makes it very expensive to take things off site. And so basically now the demolition companies see that there's a whole lot of cash for them in recycling. So pretty much everything on site gets recycled. So the blocks and bricks that are coming off there, we will be taking and putting them through a crusher, which effectively takes a bit of material that size and breaks it down into small stones that we can use as good bottoming material on site. So our compound will be all stoned up. So all the stone will be used as good bottling for us. We'll be kind of stoning up our compound and all the walkways, so we'll be using that material. The kind of wood, all the metal on the site, everything like that will all be going off and be recycled by the demolition contractor. Interestingly enough, you'll see the roof is sort of half done. The roof is coming off almost one tile at a time because it's asbestos, so that all has to be double bagged and then taken off to a special recycling facility that deals with that type of stuff. And yeah, so we lost a couple of weeks because we discovered an electrical cable running right through the building, so we had to get Western Power out to kind of isolate that, and the guys were off site for a couple of weeks. And then we're back on site, so they reckon the building will be down by this week, and then clearance will take place over another week, and then the week after that we should be starting groundworks. So the time we come to our next update on this, the site will be completely cleared. You'll see other types of machinery in there, so groundworking machinery, digging foundations, putting in drainage, taking it down to foundation level initially, and two big piles, hopefully one of crushed demolition rubble and another of topsoil that will be scraped for the site as well. So we're hoping to save a good bit and we can use the Site 1 material. Yesterday we had a design team meeting. This one was a pre-construction start design team meeting. Design team meetings are important things to run during the course of both the planning and the building regulations, and indeed right up to the construction issue. And that's where we are now. We're at sort of construction issue drawings. And basically everybody's had the opportunity to get feedback from various consultants. So we've had to gather lots of different bits of information from different inputs, largely from different departments within the local authority, with consultants feeding back their issues. And it's a very iterative process, so you get the feedback, it informs your decisions, you make an adjustment, it goes back in through the cycle again, and then rinse and repeat. So yesterday, having gone through this, we probably had about, 6 or 7 of these all-party design team meetings. Yesterday what we had was we got a final pre-construction one, where we had a list of 12 or 13 items that were still outstanding, or requiring some form of clarification. And so basically we had issues around stairs and the connections between the stairs and the central core floors set up, how we were going to deal with that, the makeup of the stairs, how they were going to be manufactured. We talked about the sort of heating systems and how we were going to put the because in this one we're using air source heat pumps, and so they have got to be located externally. And so we were talking about the issues around that. We were talking about ventilation. In 3 flats, that's a bit of a challenge. Ventilation's a big issue these days. You've got to find routes through pretty much everywhere in flats like that where your ventilation, the points of ventilation, so toilets, and where you've got mechanical ventilation, toilets and kitchens largely, are not on outside walls. So they have to be, they're internal, so we've got to kind of route them through the building and find a passageway for them. So we're discussing a whole number of these things, and on and on and on. So there was, a dozen different things. And typically what you'd get is you'd get input from all parties. So the architect would have a view, the engineers would have a view, we'd have a view, and you'd then arrive at a position whereby what you ended up with was either a consensus or a series of other action points, which may be, like for example in the siting the heat source pumps, the actions was that we had to get the company that's actually supplying them to meet with the architects, have a conversation, discuss the space that's required around about them. We're going to have to engage with the sound consultant again, so that we go back and the architect is going to talk to them about the impact of a unit with a certain decibel output, what that's going to mean in terms of the roof design, and if we have to site them on the roof because that's what we're talking about, then that could be an issue. So yeah, there's a lot of things come out of that. So it was 3 pretty interesting hours where we got through a lot, but invariably what happens with these things is you end up agreeing on a number of things, but there are still a lot of action points that are outstanding that need to come on the back of it. So we have one particular thing that's important to us, time-wise, which is the ground workers start. And there's one particular pinch point that both the civil engineer and the structural engineer need to come to some agreement on in terms of how that's going to be dealt with. So that's there as a quick action point in the back of it. But yeah, that's a design team meeting is exactly that. It's just everybody getting together and trying to nail the actual construction elements together and finalise the design. Yeah, so essentially right now the building is coming down. So that is a self-contained body of work that's been performed by the demolition contractor. So effectively they act as main contractor for the duration of their works, and then they hand the site over to us at the time when they're finished, and we as Discovery Homes then take the site over and run it right the way through. So at the moment Sean, our site manager, is kind of a little bit betwixt and between. At the moment he is just getting to grips with all the drawings, making sure that he understands what it is that he's going to be building, but it's not really his site yet. So it becomes his site when the demolition guys finish, and then he's responsible for delivery from that point forward. And so the next time you see us in this setting, certainly, it will be back on site with the demolition having been completed and the ground workers having started. So that's our update for just now. Hope that's been informative and useful. Any questions, come back to us, but we'll catch you next time. Thank you.